Welcome to part 2 of our episode with Jack Pittas. Let's jump back into it.
Now, let's say there's multiple events, multiple people. How do you keep track of all the people? What kind of system works for you? Do you have like Excel sheet, a book, or a CRM?
I have a Monday.com CRM, but I use it just for all the contacts I've met. And I think Chris, I was probably using it during our one-to-one we had. But I basically, anytime I do a one-to-one, I have a sheet open. It's everybody I've met over the last 6 years. It has, their contact info. It also has what they do, who they're looking to meet. It tracks last time I had a one-to-one with them because I want to make sure I'm sort of consistent with certain people. So it has all that. So then when I'm on the one-to-ones, I can be like, oh, you're trying to meet fractional CMOs? Okay, let's see who we got here, right? And then that makes it really easy to find people that can connect the other person with. Highly recommend. You got to have something to track it. Otherwise, CRM's also good. I know a lot of them have like the business card like picture thing, so where you can take a picture of the business card and it automatically gets added. So those are always solid. HubSpot's is like free. So if you ever need like a free one, the HubSpot would be a good one for that.
Yeah. Here's a couple of small logistic things about networking. Number one, business cards. Are they still useful, or are the digital business cards becoming more in trend?
Do not use digital business cards. The founder of ACE, I remember when he first started, we were going to try that because we want to have multiple cards for different clients. Basically, and I've experienced it too, where like someone hands me a digital card and I have to scan it. I'm telling you, it's kind of annoying. Most people are using their personal phones at events, and they're not keeping work stuff in there. So definitely get like old-fashioned, just regular cards. Like they always make a face. Yeah, I won't make a face in front of them, but I'm thinking like, oh, here we go. Like, because then I have to go through my personal contacts and I have to like add it in separately, and I just don't want to. I don't like to like mix up my personal contacts from like professional contacts. So
that's fair. That's fair. Although I will tell you, at the conference last week, I actually met a VP who uses the same platform I use, so we were excited to share with each other because we use the same platform.
It's probably one of those things where like if everyone was using them, it would be useful, it'd be nice, but I still think the old-fashioned cards are the best way to go.
Old-fashioned cards. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Nice.
All right, I'll go get them. They're not even expensive, so I don't know why it's not like a huge cost here.
No, I mean, we buy ours for both our business, but also our clients. When we need them, we'll buy them on Canva. You can get like a pack for like $20. I mean, it's very cheap.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. Elevator pitches. Do you think they're useful? Do you think there's ways to modify them for networking events in those like initial meet and greets?
Yeah, so they're definitely useful. I think the problem that people get with elevator pitches is they sort of try to memorize a script and not just know exactly what they do and who they want to meet. And that's the problem. It's because you got to remember, you're having a conversation. You're not doing an advertisement. So you want it to sort of come in more organically. So I definitely recommend like practicing an elevator pitch to some extent, but you don't want to memorize the script. The best way to move is just know exactly what you offer, the value you offer, who you're looking to meet, and then kind of let the conversation go from there. But they're still very relevant. Obviously, you need to have some short spiel about exactly what you do, and it needs to be understood, right? And there's the rule of thumb. I saw this on LinkedIn, but I thought it was really funny. Like, if your grandma can't understand it, then it's not a good elevator pitch.
A good one.
Yep.
Yeah, and to kind of go back to the other question you had about modifying it, you probably do have to modify it now. And I'll give an example. With ACE, we have two different types of clients. So we have one where we're just selling to like small businesses, small B2B companies, and we have another where we're selling specifically to government contractors. And they're completely different services that we offer and completely different value adds. So I have to modify it depending on where I am. So like if I'm at a GovCon specific event, I'm obviously going to talk about the GovCon. I'm going to give the GovCon pitch or a variation of it. But if I'm at just like a generic event or happy hour or whatever, I'm probably going to give the one more focus on small B2B companies. So, so I guess like if you do have like a whole line of services, and I guess insurance is kind of similar, like if there's certain coverages that are going to be more applicable probably to a certain audience than others, right? Or if you're an IT company, there's certain specific services that are going to be more relevant. So yeah, you definitely need to kind of have it tweaked depending on where you're going.
It sounds like you need to really be intentional about what kind of networking events, who you want to meet, what is the service you want to pitch. I wonder, how do you set intention for yourself? Like if you have any goal for the event, let's say at this event, a win for me would be meeting at least one prospect, or what is a sample win maybe that you have for yourself?
Yeah, it depends on the event, but I would say I try, if it's like a 2-hour event, which most of them are typically, if you're just going to like a regular networking type happy hour or breakfast or something like that, usually they're 2 hours or less. My goal there is usually like meet 5 to 8 contacts and get one-to-ones with all of them after.
Nice.
If you're going to like a long form day, like one of those like all day conferences or expos or whatever, your goal should be more lead oriented. So it should be like, I want to get at least 3 potential revenue opportunities in my pipeline. Now, another thing too, is a revenue opportunity isn't always a direct lead either. So it could be like a potential like collaborator, for example, where like if someone has like complimentary service offerings, they could say, hey, I got a client. I'm working with this client right now who needs help with this. We can bring you in to help out. Like that's also a revenue opportunity, right? Even though it's not a direct lead because you're not actually engaged with the client. So keep that in mind too, is like this is why I say like, don't just focus on leads when you're going to events, also focus on people who could get you leads or get you opportunities. So yeah, I think, it depends kind of on the event and sort of what your purpose. I mean, for some people, if they're very shy, they just probably want to survive the event, right? Like that's to them, that's like
that
a
could
win.
be the win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I just want to go there and stay the whole time and not make myself look like a fool, right? Which they will not. They'll be fine, I promise. But that's a win kind of in their book. So, and I think with intention, it does sort of matter, not just with like your goals going in, but what you kind of said, like specific events of people you're targeting, and definitely try to, I'll admit, I don't do a great job of this, but definitely try to like set your events like within weeks or months, like have it on the calendar because it will force you to go. If you already registered and you paid for something, you will go, right? And that lets you sort of be more intentional too, because you could basically say, all right, over the next 3 months, I want to focus on this specific market. I want to find IT companies. That's who I'm going to sell to. IT management companies, MSPs, whatever. Here are a dozen events that they might be there at. Here's my budget of what I can spend to go to the events. I'm gonna get these all on my calendar. And that's kind of a good way to sort of be very intentional. And then before you're going to those, you have probably a modified elevator pitch specifically for those types of people. So that's both intention with where you're going and the messaging, how you're speaking to the audience.
Love that focus for like the quarter. This quarter, I'm going to focus on this.
Yeah, it definitely helps if
Fantastic.
like more long term,
Yeah.
because a lot of the events, pretty much all of them, as far as I know, are planned out very far in advance typically. So they're already there. It's not like they just pop up randomly. So yeah, if you can schedule out in advance, try to.
Jack, I'd love to, if you're up for it, I'd love to role play a few situations for people to see what it is. And Lucie and I don't have to be anybody different. We'll be ourselves, actually, because this is networking. So we can be ourselves. Let's imagine we're at a networking conference or just a conference. We're at a conference in general, just a leadership conference of some sort, or entrepreneur conference. How about we start with you approaching Lucie, and let's just see let's have a regular, you can have a regular networking conversation. Like, how would you lead into it? How would you flow? And Lucie will play yourself. You don't have to be anybody different, Lucie.
So I'd go up to, I'd see Lucie standing by a table or somewhere, and I go up to Lucie. Hey, Lucie. So what's Mind Fittery? Tell me about that.
Mind Fittery is mental fitness gym. It's my startup that I'm building for leaders, their teams, and families. Really increasing that emotional intelligence. That's something that I love and love working with, and I really see how it can impact people.
Oh, nice. And what kind of got you into that field? What sort of got you to start your business doing that?
That's a great question. You know, I think as a business owner, before I was working with businesses, and I noticed that the strategies were not enough to give them, that there was something inside of them that was stopping them. And so I started exploring what is it that's stopping them from taking the action, that they're self-sabotaging, it sounds like. And so I did additional research, and it took me all the way to positive intelligence, where there's an assessment looking at what's actually sabotaging us, our performance, well-being, relationships. But enough about me. What about you?
Yeah, no, I got more questions for you after, but I'm Jack Pittas. I'm from Ace Business Development. We're a fractional business development service, so we essentially sell and network on behalf of clients to help them get new revenue opportunities. But I'm curious, what is in your mind? What has been sort of the biggest thing that's sabotaging business leaders and stuff? And what's sort of the big, from your research, what have you found?
Different things. Often what I find for people that are driven, there could be perfectionism stopping them. It's in a way the stickler saboteur, where they want to have everything perfectly done, perfectly prepared, and they can be procrastinating. So there's the avoider saboteur, that they will say, well, I don't have it all ready yet. Let me wait for the next think. Or there could be hyperachievers, the hyperachiever saboteur, where it takes them to burn out.
Yeah.
They took on so much that they burn out and they cannot sustain it.
Nice. And how do you kind of like when you're getting clients, what's sort of the conversation trigger? What's sort of the thing that someone might hear to say, okay, this person needs your services or they need help in this area? What should I kind of be on the lookout for?
I love it. Great question. Either they really struggle with maintaining their performance and they go through the cycles of burnout. Mm-hmm. That's one. Or they are a leader in a company and they really are going, let's say, through the transformation, and there were some layoffs and they need to keep people motivated. Or they are a new manager that they feel maybe they have the imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. And they have the doubts. How do I lead better? How do I have these difficult conversations? Or they got some feedback that they need to have better communication with people, but they don't know where to start. So I could support them really in improving their communication, exploring what is getting in the way. Because sometimes they even themselves, they don't know. They are doing the things, but it's still not working. Be it empowering their team. If they have people leaving their team, that's a sign something's not working.
Yeah, I imagine like during like mergers and acquisitions would be probably a time where you do sort of see like a big culture shift and the different way things are run, and in which case they would have that would probably be a big area where you'd come in.
Yep, I've had multiple clients from that stage in a business.
Yeah.
Or when they were going through multiple waves of layoffs, especially nowadays in the tech corporations.
Yeah, there seems to be a overhiring cycle, and then they just sort of, let them go once they don't need them. So, yeah.
So let's wrap it up. How would you end it? Let's say you finished talking.
Yeah, I'll say, Lucie, it was great meeting you. I'm going to definitely follow up for a one-to-one. I want to kind of get to know you a little bit more and see if I can introduce you to the right people. Here's my card, and I'll be in touch. I gotta go, or I'd say something probably like, what I said earlier, basically, where it's like, all right, I'm gonna go make my rounds, but it's a pleasure talking to you, something like that.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. Lucie, how did that feel for you? What did you think? What did you think of that
approach? It was unusual for me because I'm usually in the role of the question asker in the conversation. So I'm usually the one that's asking more questions. But Jack was really proactive.
Yeah, you got to take a keen interest in the conversation. I'm telling you, that's a good way to build the connection.
Yeah. I think your approach was great. Here, maybe this is touching on this question I was asking earlier. Is you were great at, as soon as she said something, you were curious to figure out, like, you have a question of asking how she does something or why she does something. Mm-hmm. But how does somebody who doesn't even their mind just goes blank, like when this happens, they're like, I don't even know a question to ask.
So what you could do, honestly, and I did this early on in my career, just sort of have like a couple questions in the back of your head already. So you notice I asked her the thing about like, what is sort of a trigger point in the conversation for which you would come in for that I should be on the lookout for? Because that's like it's a buying indicator basically, right? So like if you want to be someone who can refer a lot of business to other people, you need to find those buyer indicators when you're talking to either your clients or anybody, and be like, oh, okay, that sounds like a very specific issue. I know that Chris can solve this actually. Hey, I know Chris Wong, he actually specializes in this thing. Would you like an intro? So like having just stuff kind of pre-ready for that, because I guarantee you they're probably, if they're just giving their elevator pitch, they're not going to go into that much detail that there's not some question you can ask to follow up, right? Again, it's going to be very surface level. So just having kind of the more detail-oriented questions ready to go. Also, I'm just generally kind of curious. So like I from what she was saying, I was like, okay, right. I've talked to some people recently about like M&A stuff. This sounds exactly like that situation that I've heard, right? So that was an easy. I imagine you come in this situation a lot, and sure enough, I think I was right about that. So
awesome. What about if you're networking and you're a person that's too shy, like your personality is you don't like talking about the good things you've done or some of the things you've accomplished? How do you either get the courage to start talking about like some of the cool impacts you've had or the work you do?
It's a great question. Yeah, I think that is kind of an issue that people have, is they feel they don't want to brag about themselves, but they also don't realize. sometimes it's not really bragging, right? Like a lot of times I'll talk to someone and they'll kind of explain this, like they'll give me a case, kind of like this is how we help this company do this, and more than anything, it actually provides context to what you do. So like Lucie, what if I could have basically said like, oh, give me an example on someone you may have worked with recently, kind of give me an idea on exactly how you'd approach the situation. That's sort of a way that you can sort of brag about yourself without bragging about yourself. All you're really doing is like providing a success story on what you did without being very like self-centered about it. But the intention is more so to make sure the person understands what exactly you do by giving a story behind it. So I think just it comes down just like a mindset. I think where it's like you're not bragging. Like don't be afraid to really showboat and showcase kind of what you do and the value you offer. One thing you'll find is just like very good salespeople don't really think of it as sales ever, and that's why there's no barrier, so they can easily like have these conversations because they are genuinely that confident that they can help a specific lead or a specific potential client or whatever. So you kind of want like that mentality. It's like, yeah, we help people, and I know we can help people. So I want to make sure you know that, right? That and if there's someone in your network that can help, I'm here for it because I've done it before.
Let's try this again. I'd love to try this again. This time you'll approach me. I'm shy. You come up to me, and I'm actually shyer. And I'm like a little bit harder to get information out of because I'm just like, maybe it's my first time or whatever, but I'm just shy.
Okay, so you're shy. I'm coming up to you.
I'm
Got
shy.
it. Okay,
you're you. Let's do it.
Okay, so for the sake of the scene, I don't know you're shy, so I'm going to go up to you same way to start at least. But I might have to. I'm probably going to probe a lot more. I'm probably going to ask a lot more just to keep it going. So, hey, Chris, I see you're from Leadership Potential. Tell me about that. What's that all about?
Hey, yeah, so I just work with leaders. I do coaching, executive coaching, and training.
Got it. And what kind of companies typically you're working with? Big, small, certain industries maybe, nonprofits, for-profits?
All sorts. Yeah, all sorts. Nonprofits, public sector, for-profits sometimes, but mainly nonprofits and public sector.
Nice. And what kind of got you like into it? Is this kind of something you were doing before, and then you started your business? And what's your story?
Yeah, I was laid off. I was doing L&D, and I was doing coaching internally, and then I just got laid off. So I just started my own thing.
Yeah. Hey, nothing better than being your own boss. No one can lay you off except for clients now, right? Yeah.
True that.
Awesome. And are you from this area? I know we all drove here. Some people are from out of town. Are you from the area or?
No, I'm from New York originally. So I drove down here last night. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I guess like who are typical, not necessarily types of clients, but like are there certain referral sources that can send you business typically, or who do you kind of like to sort of meet? Even both direct clients and then I guess the collaborators, the referral sources, just general connections.
Yeah, HR leaders are really great. Other CEOs, executive directors, VPs. Yeah, a lot of the direct clients are really great.
Yeah, basically anyone sort of in like leadership, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, there's a group called Nexco. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but they have a couple. It's a lead share group essentially, but they have these like chapters dedicated to just like the fractional folks. That could be a good area you go in because you would meet a bunch of fractional leaders that would ultimately be right next to your decision maker. We can get a one-to-one. I can connect you with the president of that chapter if you want.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. All right, how was that?
Good. Great. Yeah. Does it feel a lot more like pulling teeth in that situation?
Yeah, you were pretty short with me. But it was a little bit challenging, but I always kind of try to have the next one ready to go. But
yeah,
and ideally, like if we were in like a crowded setting too, and there are different people walking by, I'd probably at some point kind of bring other people into. It's like, hey, you got to come meet Chris. He does this or whatever, and then try to build the circle to get a little wider.
It's a great strategy.
Yeah. Because then once there's like 5 people in the circle, it's just a nice, like, it's just like a fun conversation that a lot of people are having once you kind of get through all the what do you do and who do you work with kind of thing. So
right, yeah. I've met people like this at networking events that it's very difficult to get stuff out of them, and in a group like outside of a controlled setting, you don't know if it's because they don't want to talk to you or because they're shy and they just don't know what to say and they're feeling uncomfortable. So it's a little bit like pulling teeth to just to get the basics of what do you do and How can I help you?
Yeah, I guess for me, I would just hope we're at a happy hour and just like they're a little more loose and more talkative.
Yeah.
But I totally get what you're saying. I think, and I run into that a lot as well. Especially like I go to like a lot of like events that are more tech related, and you will kind of meet more like they're the business owner, but they came from the engineering side or something like that. So this is kind of their first time doing business development and networking and stuff. Now, luckily, I know the area. I know that arena very well, so I actually have a lot of questions I could kind of talk about, and we can kind of get more technical. But sometimes it does feel like pulling teeth just to get info out of them. But I don't take it personally. Like I'm fully aware it's either because they're shy or maybe I'm just a waste of their time, and I'll take the hint.
Yeah. If there's anything I've learned about owning my own business, it's I can't take anything personal that anybody does or says.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, it's well, especially like I said, like if you're in a sales role, rejection is all of it, right? Like you're just constantly you're going to get more no's than yes, no matter what. I don't know a single person who can say that they have a positive, deal closing rate or however you want to measure it. So you do have to be kind of ready for that.
Yeah.
What helps you to get over the rejection?
By now, you get rejected enough. You're just kind of like, it's just another one. Like the one kind of mindset you can have is like the one more rejection is one more closer to a yes type of thing. But you also kind of want to learn from it. I think don't just like skip out. Like find out why there was rejection, because if you find a pattern, like that could be an indicator that like something's off with your services, or maybe you're overpriced, or there's something you're not offering that they want and that someone else can offer. So you also do want to try to find the patterns. Always try to find out like find out the why for the rejection. And then you can apply that for the next sales deal.
Yeah. Do you often look back at all your networking events and you're like, oh, this went well, I got to keep saying this, or I got to keep approaching it this way? When you're looking back at the things you've gone to events.
I don't think not intentionally with the events necessarily, but I think you'll find that there are certain like buzzwords in the pitch, like for ACE especially. When I talk about like attending events for people, that's a trigger. Like that when I say that, people get really excited. Like, oh wait, you'll actually go to events like for us? I'm like, yeah. So that's something like I definitely prioritize, because think about it, like in all of our businesses, there's a lot of things we could talk about, right? But we only have so much time. So you kind of want to focus on what's going to get them to be interested, and what that trigger phrase or word is. And in my case with ACE, it's the proxy networking and event representation. It's the whole idea that we will build your network for you and you don't even have to leave your office. Like that's the whole idea behind it. So I think that's just something that I sort of realized from just having conversations. I didn't intend, like I never like went back and looked at my events necessarily or thought about, but kind of like when I'm doing a lot of one-to-ones typically, that's actually where I do see those trends.
That's great. Jack, let's imagine for a minute that somebody skipped the first part of this episode last week. They skipped through most of this episode and they said, let me just come to this 22-minute mark at the episode. And they only listened to this point forward. What are 1 to 2 big takeaways you hope they have?
The big one, networking is a party. I know we discussed it earlier. It's a party, and there's sort of 2 things to take away from that. Number 1, do not be nervous. You're going just to meet people. Treat it like a party. You don't need to close a sale. You're just going to meet people. And I guess that kind of brings me to number 2, is you're not trying to close a sale. You're just trying to meet people, right? All the value is going to happen after that initial connection. So definitely that's probably the biggest one I think I'm going to say today, is to definitely treat it like a party. And just be aware, like people, there's someone there, I guarantee, that is more nervous than you are to be there. Find that person and be buddies with them.
Yeah. I think it's so invaluable because I think there's so many people coming into either starting their own business or doing whatever now, and they know that this is a part of the work, and they get so nervous because their personality is not like they don't want to necessarily go out and do it all the time. But I think this is so helpful for them to reframe it and not put so much pressure on themselves.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I don't know. I personally feel this way. I'm not sure if you guys do too, but I feel like going to the events, it's always one of those things you might dread going to, but you're always glad you did. Like after I always end up just feeling even the ones I dread going to the most, I always actually will feel very pumped after, because it always ends up being worthwhile. You're going to meet somebody of value there. Like even if they're not a direct lead, right? I can talk about these other like partnerships, right? That you can kind of focus on. Like you're going to meet somebody and you're always glad you went. You just always feel better. I think also like we're in I guess a lot of people are very isolated these days. So like when you actually can get out of the house and stuff and build those connections, it is very healthy. So that's probably another reason why your mood, you just get a huge mood boost after you kind of go to these things. Now, for very shy people, maybe that boost is because they feel like they accomplished, they got through it without embarrassing themselves or whatever their irrational worst fear was about this event. I think you're always glad you went, and I think just kind of know that, like, before the event, that you can kind of think to yourself, like, you know what, I don't really want to go, but I know I'm going to be glad I did. And just all you got to do is get through those 2 hours, 4 hours, however long it is.
I just thought of a bonus question, if we have some time for it. Difference between in-person and online networking. Mm-hmm. What would be some tips for networking online?
I will say, one of the better online networking events you can do, because it's not as personal because you're not next to them, but there's a lot of groups that will do speed networking. I'm not sure if you guys have ever been to like an online speed networking. Those are actually awesome because they don't take that much of your time, and you're going to meet somewhere between like 10 to 15 people in one thing, because you're just doing like a minute of time basically with each person. So in terms of like quantity, it's actually not a bad place to go is a speed networking event. I don't think the approach is necessarily any different. I think because with the virtual events, you got to remember too, like they sort of facilitate conversations for you. Like they'll put you in different like rooms or whatever, or you'll get put one-to-one with someone. So it is different where you don't have to actually like physically go up to somebody and shake their hand and introduce yourself and all that stuff and all that.
Yeah.
I would also say with virtual, take advantage of like the chat boxes, because a lot of the times like you might meet someone and they could be of value to your client, or it could be something that you're looking to meet someone or whatever, and you can kind of message them on the side during the event and say, hey, like we definitely need to connect. I got this opportunity we should discuss. So that's like kind of another difference. As like you obviously can't do that at a in-person event. But I think the quantity is definitely there, especially if you do the speed networking for virtual events.
Yeah, the risk I've run into, I like those speed networking events too. I think they really run really well. The risk is every now and then I'll run into somebody who's a small business owner of a really local geographic area thing. Like I do fire and water damage restoration in Louisiana, southeastern Louisiana.
Yeah.
And so I'm not looking for to meet anybody else except people in this one area. And I don't know anybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, and this brings me back to, finding the right events to go to where they have not just a vertical specific, but also I guess geographic specific, or, I talked a little bit about like, is there going to be business owners there, decision makers, or is it just going to be a bunch of sales and business development reps? Right.
Right.
So a lot of that is kind of doing your homework prior to the event and realizing, okay, I think this event has the industry I'm looking to meet. It's going to have the people I'm looking to meet. And I can work remotely, so there's really no restriction there. So anybody I meet here is probably going to be a good contact for me. So, yeah.
Jack, this was super invaluable. How can the people find you? How can they reach out to you? How can they get you to do the networking for them?
Yeah, so you can contact me at Jack, J-A-C-K, at acebusinessdev.com. And happy to talk about different ways we can help with that. You can visit our website as well at acebusinessdev.com. I assume you might have our links to stuff in when you post this. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
It'll be down there.
Yeah, it'll have all the good stuff there. And I want to do one-to-ones with people. So if nothing else, I'd love just to kind of meet you. And if I can open up my network to you, I'd love to offer that.
Awesome. Jack, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me,
Jack.
guys. I love this.
Awesome.